This one Airbnb property brought in $40,000 in 1 month. We bought this property in February of 2023, spent some time and money fixing it up, adding some cool amenities, and we went live on Airbnb towards the end of April. And it took a month or two to ramp up, and now in July of 2023, we have $40,000 booked for 1 month, and we still have 5 days available in July to hopefully get us closer to the 45K mark. This property we bought in February of 2023, and we got a 6.25% interest rate. So for all those saying interest rates are too high to succeed with real estate investments right now, this will prove you wrong. Hands down. Bought at $980,000, and because interest rates are higher, we had less competition. We actually got it under appraised value, under asking price. We put down about 25-ish, 26% to stay within the conventional loan investment limit. So we put down $253,800, and then we negotiated with the seller. Again, less competition, more negotiating power, more on this later on how I did it. We got them to pay about $20,000 in seller concessions to our closing costs. So we only had to come out of pocket about $6,535 for closing. We spent $182,000 rehabbing this property, turning it into something really special. And then total all in on furniture and design, we spent $147,500. So all in between down payment, closing, rehab, furniture, $589,835. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you watching who may be just starting out, but just know that this is our 7th property. We didn't start with this one, so we kind of worked up to this level, but everything I'm gonna talk about in this video, take notes and apply it to wherever you're starting at in the process. So a little bit about this property and why we chose it and why it's doing $40,000 on a single month. This property is located in Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville is a booming town that is constantly growing. Not only that, but all of the major metro areas surrounding Asheville in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee are all growing in population as well. And what happens when you move to a new place, you look for new things to do, and what do people find? They find Asheville has great breweries. It's also a great place for weddings, family reunions, hiking, and all sorts of different things. So that's why that market is special. By having a bigger place, we can accommodate those groups, which most houses in the area or vacation rentals are unable to accommodate. So we can capture the demand that is there for big groups. Because this property is much larger and we knew we had lots of big family vacations or special occasions, we wanted to pack it full of amenities. We added things such as a 4-hole professionally installed turf putt-putt course. We have a full court basketball and pickleball sport court. We converted one of the 2 garages to a fitness area or a gym, and then a ping pong area. And then we have a hot tub, an outdoor built-in fire pit. And then in the basement, we have a poker area, a lounge that's kind of speakeasy themed. And then we have a giant game room with tons of games like pool, a shuffleboard, foosball, things like that. And then we have a full-blown theater room with theater seats with surround sound and a 135-inch projector screen. So this place is absolutely packed with things where you honestly would not have to leave this place for multiple days in order to have a really, really good time. All of these amenities and the location of this property and the size of it allow us to be able to charge what we charge for this place. And on average so far, we're charging between $1,000 and $2,000 per night, which we predicted about $1,250 a night at a 65% occupancy, which would ultimately yield about $296,000 per year in revenue or $24,700 per month. And we're on par for that actually, and not all months are gonna be 40K. This is just one of the best months we've had to date. I'm sure we'll have bigger ones in the future. But some of the monthly expenses that we have do add up. Remember that 40K in July is not all pure profit. So first and foremost, we have the mortgage, which is $4,471 per month. Our taxes and insurance is $993. There's no HOA, there's no water because it's on a well. And then electric and other utilities, we're estimating around $400 to $500 a month. I think that's probably a high estimate. It hasn't been that high yet. And then Wi-Fi and cable combined is about $120 a month. We also budget for CapEx. So this is future repairs on, like, for example, I need to replace the roof or HVAC, about $400 a month. And then we have incidentals, pest, landscaping and other maintenance and some of our software tools. And it all adds up to right around $4,100 per month. Now you will note that I did not include cleaning fees in the estimate because we do not forecast cleaning fees as an expense, nor do we forecast it as revenue because ultimately we charge the guest the cleaning fee. Now, I will tell you, in the 40K, that does include our cleaning fee, which comes from about, let me count the reservations here in July. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And our cleaning fee is around $800. So 7 times 800, so $5,600 in cleaning fees. Now, if we add that plus the 4,000 plus the, what is it, like 4,500 in expenses for the mortgage and other OpEx, it totals about 14,100. So give or take, it'll be about 14 to 15,000 in total expenses on this property. So if we take that off of 40,000, we're left with about $26,000 in cash flow. And that's including, remember, the CapEx, which isn't gonna actually be an expense, but we set that money aside for future repairs. So one property, cash flowing, more than my salary, like triple my salary was a couple years ago, which is insane to think about, 26K. So that's what working your way up to luxury properties can do for you. Now, I mentioned before a specific tactic that helps me negotiate with sellers on helping pad my closing costs and what I actually have to pay out of pocket. So here's a little negotiating tip that has worked, I think, in 6 or 7 out of the 8 purchases I've ever done. And that is to, especially if it's a non-competitive situation where there's not multiple bids on the property, you have more leverage as a buyer. With the way interest rates are right now, you definitely have more leverage in terms of the purchase price and closing costs or seller concessions. What I would recommend doing is go in under asking price. So let's say the property, just for even numbers, is listed at $1 million. Let's say we went in at $950. I'm knowing that the seller probably is not gonna come down to $950. So my intention is not to buy it there. My intention is to get them to counter and kind of give me a range of what I think they're willing to, what their wiggle room is. So imagine I go in at $950, which I can't remember exactly what went on this property. I think it was around $960, but $950, and then they counter at like $970. So what I may do is go up to $970, but ask them, hey, okay, but I want you to pay $20,000 of my closing costs. They may say no, but we can counter again at maybe $980 or $990 and ask them the same thing. At the end of the day, I would rather have them pay for some of my closing costs and pay more for the property because I can finance the extra, say, 20K versus paying out of pocket for it. And it's no difference to them on the back end at the end of the sale. If you pay $1 million for a property and they comp you $20,000 in seller concessions versus if they sell it to you at $980,000 but don't give you anything in seller concessions, it's the same thing to them at the back end of the transaction, but it makes a massive difference for you as far as how much money you have to front out of pocket. If you guys want to see how this property and all my other properties within my portfolio perform over time and lots of other valuable content along the way, please subscribe here. And if you guys want to learn how to do this and find and invest and manage extremely profitable properties, I encourage you to check out B&B Investor Academy. I'll drop a link to it below, or you could just hit the website bnbinvestoracademy.com. This is a full in-depth coaching and mentorship program to show you guys the ropes on how to be really successful with short-term rentals.